Hello, and welcome to WTF, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday.
Our posting schedule.
We talk about writing books, and today, a random book we don't know. Well, we do know, but we don't know which one it will be. Yeah.
So,
first we need to introduce ourselves.
My name is Mariella May. I'm currently working on a fantasy duology. We're both working on it. Aubin's helping me edit it. And the first one should hopefully be coming out soon. And you are?
Hello, my name is Aubin Elise. I am the author of The Second Nature of Indigo, which the book for that book is up here. Mm-hmm. It is a coming-of-age Victorian-era novel with dashes of circus and hints of murder. So, yeah. It is out everywhere. It came out 2 years ago, I think. Something like that. Anyway, however you enjoy books, ebook, audiobook, all the different paper versions, they're available on Amazon, and I guess we should start leaving the link to my book in the description below. So we'll start doing that. All right, so would you like to do... First of all,
let's take a minute. What book tea is.
We should explain what book tea is, and then we can take a minute for your outfit.
So book tea is where we, in this lovely teapot, on these cut-up card catalog pieces, we have written books that we enjoyed, really liked. And so each Friday we pick out one or two and talk about it with you guys. Now we're starting a series called Book Tea Spoiler Included, which is basically our book club here. So next month, which was March of 2025, I don't know what year we were watching this in, we will be reading
Tempest of Tea
by
Hafsal Faisal.
So yeah, if you want to read that with us, we'll have that next month. So you can get started.
Yeah.
Alrighty, but today.
Yeah, today. This is a very cool shirt and whole vibe you got going on there.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Alright, now you can do it.
Okay. I feel like I've been picking a lot. It's your turn.
Oh, it's my turn. Okay. I want this one. Miska. And Miska. Sham. Let me read it. It's Caraval!
Ooh!
Alright, so
Caraval
let's go.
Is an interesting one. Wait, I feel like we should open it. Can't be sneaky and read it from the inside. It is, in fact, Caraval.
Wow.
I never doubted you.
But now you know for sure.
Now I know for sure.
Trust but verify.
Okay, so Caraval by
Stephanie Garber.
So this is the first book in a trilogy. You read it
3 times.
3 times. First time when you were 12.
Yeah, I was too young. Don't do that.
Young.
14.
14 is...
Which was good.
Yeah.
That's a
reasonable age.
Reasonable. Now, of course, there's a spectrum. And then, again, when I was 19.
Yeah.
Yeah, so recently.
I've only read it once when I was 15. The age I am now.
Yeah.
And I read it physical. Physically. So I am dyslexic, so reading physical books is hard, but it is one of the few books that I've read with my eyes and paper. And that was pretty fun.
Nice.
It was your copy of it.
Yes.
So Aubin had annotated it, and then I annotated it, which was really fun. And now we have a friend.
Yes.
No.
She has the second book.
Yeah.
Legendary.
So are we going to talk about Caraval as a series or as a first
Well,
book?
you haven't finished it as a series.
I have not finished it as a series.
Ella finished
Legendary,
so you just have finale. But then We Hunt the Flame went... We have very differing opinions on Legendary.
Yeah.
That could be a really good spoilers included episode, but we would have to have spoilers included because
there's a lot of
spoilers.
Debate.
And spoiling Caraval is unfortunately something I am accidentally really good at. So,
as someone who was reading it actively while Aubin was spoiling everything for me.
I'm so sorry. I didn't...
It's okay. They weren't huge spoilers. They were huge, but they weren't things that I wouldn't have guessed.
Yeah.
So... Yeah, Caraval, the first one. I really enjoyed it. It was pretty... I liked how vibey it was. It was very vibey.
It's so vibey. Wait, we should give a little...
Synopsis.
Maybe I should read the synopsis. Welcome, welcome to Caraval, Stephanie Garber's sweeping tale of two sisters who escape their ruthless father when they enter the dangerous intrigue of a legendary game. La-di-da-di-da. With the help of a mysterious sailor, one sister whisks another sister away to a show. Only, as soon as they arrive, Tella, the first sister, is kidnapped by Caraval's mastermind organizer, Legend. It turns out that this season's Caraval revolves... Well, that's a lot of spoiling.
Yeah.
Okay, anyway, the sister gets kidnapped.
And now the first sister has to find her through this game. And I liked the initial, I liked the plot.
Yeah. I feel like one of Stephanie Garber's, things she does best is plot. Like, stakes, she's always really good at manipulating the stakes. In my opinion, I think she's really good at always putting pressure on the main characters, but not making it seem hopeless. What would you say?
I would say that that's definitely true of Caraval.
Okay.
I much preferred Caraval to Legendary overall.
Yeah.
So I'd say that that's true of Caraval, but I wouldn't say that's as true of Legendary. I found it a bit more... It stretched my...
willing suspension of disbelief.
And it made me...
yeah. Mm-hmm.
But, yeah, I found it more convincing with the first one.
Okay.
I felt... Also, it felt more... genuine. I don't know if I just preferred Scarlett's perspective.
Personally, I loved the second one. So the first reading it through the first time through as a 12-year-old, I was, Scarlett is a lot like me in a lot of ways, or I felt like I was a lot like Scarlett. And so Scarlett was like my insert character. I was like, oh, this is amazing. And then getting to the second book, it switches perspective. And I did not love this character as much. I was so annoyed by her. And so the entire book, I just kept waiting for it to go to Scarlett. I kept waiting for it to go back to Scarlett's perspective. And it never did. And I was always waiting for that, and it never happened.
Yeah.
And then by the time finale came around and Scarlett's perspective did come back around, it's so small relatively. In finale, not small, it's definitely less than half. It's very important,
but not nearly
it's not carrying the story, which does make sense in the scope of everything. And then reading it through the second time, I got to the second book and was like, okay, I appreciate this character a lot more now, and I enjoyed the story. Third time through, I was like, oh my gosh, I love this character in the story, and it's so fun. And finale was so much better than I remembered it the other times before. I enjoyed it a lot more.
I'm gonna be...
There are some problems. We've talked about this, but
it
would actually make a great spoilers included, but we'd have to do all 3 books, which would be a lot of reading for people. But it would be worth it. I feel like a lot of people have read the Caraval series anyway. So I'd say one of the strong points of Caraval, especially within the first book, maybe a little bit weaker in the second book, is... Okay, maybe not weaker, but anyway, really strong in the first book is world building, which was our Wednesday episode this week. So go ahead and find that video up here. But I think her world building is so fun. Even long after I forgot the story and the characters, I hadn't really remembered the plot super well. That world stuck with me, and it was such a mood. I mean, I remember telling my uncle about the world of Caraval, and I got so fired up about it. So
the world is really, really interesting. I do really like it. Another thing that kind of threw me off at the beginning of the second book was introducing this whole massive plot thing that's really integral to the world that was not even mentioned in the first one. So that kind of threw me off from the very beginning. I wish it was just like at least mentioned more in the first one. I don't know if it's mentioned at all, so that threw me off. But the first one unto itself is really solid, I think. Like, all the characters and the world really fit with their own, like, story. Like, I rarely ever felt like a character was going against their nature, if ever. I don't know if I did ever. Like, even when a character did something that I didn't love.
I remember writing down a note and being like, this character's motivation makes no sense.
But then yeah. Learned in
a twist later revealed, not even in book 1. No, we didn't even learn about it until book 2.
Yeah.
And then his motivation made sense, but I was just ranting about it in the notes in the book. I was like, this motivation makes no sense.
Yeah.
But, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I really liked the world, and I really liked the almost indistinct magic system, because it wasn't really a magic system.
Yeah.
It was a magic unto itself.
Yeah.
Like a singular magic, which I thought was really cool.
Yeah, it's not like everyone has magic.
Or it's not really like, it's basically like no one has magic, which is super cool.
Yeah. You're just living in a magical world. Yeah.
Yeah, it's very well designed, and I definitely feel like the like energy in the first book fits it. Like, I never felt like people were being over dramatic or under dramatic.
I disagree.
With what?
I felt like sometimes the drama was not brought when it could have been. And man, we are critiquing this book so hard. Usually we just rant about how we love books so much.
And I'm not saying I don't like Caraval.
We really appreciate Caraval.
I really enjoyed it. It was a super fun read. But yeah, I guess we're just being a lot harsher today.
Yeah. When I came back to Caraval as a 19-year-old, I remember being less impressed by Caraval book 1 and more impressed by Caraval book 2.
Which is weird, because
you had the exact opposite
book
reaction.
2, because I felt like the stakes and the resolution of stakes was not as well carried through.
I think
like,
partially
I felt like
it
hard
was
things were solved too easily, and I felt like easy things were
okay. Yes, there are some
and
plot
that
holes
really bothered
in
me,
Legendary,
because
but
it's like, okay, how did that just
that fits
easily
super
get
well,
solved, and then this is just like so difficult.
I think one thing was that the second POV in the second book was set up so well in the first book.
Yeah.
So we got so excited about the second POV, and then there were a few key attributes that we kind of thought were there in the second POV that we didn't see carry through super well.
Yeah.
In Legendary.
Follow through was not followed through. Like, I really wanted certain things, and it was like set up, and then they just didn't happen.
Yeah.
I felt less so like that with Caraval. It might have been because less things were set up.
I think also the romance in Caraval takes way less time. It happens in one book. You get that whole romantic arc. And then in Legendary
oh
not
my,
really.
Yes.
No, it continues. Yes. It continues
I can
in
see
finale.
That, but also I can see that the first romance is also continuing. You know, it's not like a cut and dry, perfect romance.
Exactly, yes. True.
But I would say that...
And you would love the way it continues in book 3. You just don't get that much of it.
The second romance... I did not personally love
but the romantic interest...
No, I just didn't personally love either romantic plot as much, which is weird because I usually love...
You did grow to like the first romantic plot in Caraval more,
I did,
correct?
Because it was funny.
Okay, yes.
I enjoyed the humor
thought he was
of
like...
it.
12-year-old me was like, oh my gosh, he's so amazing. Then 14-year-old me was also like, oh my gosh, he's so amazing. And then 19-year-old me was like, huh. Still great. I just like the other romantic interest more.
Aubin's more into the second romantic interest. I don't like him as much as a person.
I know. That's kind of why I like him. Because you get more of a character arc from him. You haven't finished
I feel
finale.
like you have such a great character arc with the first one.
You
because
do
it's
have
more
a
like
good character
learning
arc.
about him, rather than just being like, I don't know. Also, it might have just been how the second POV thought of the second love interest.
Yeah.
I didn't like that nearly as much.
Yes, I can understand that.
Mm-hmm.
It's just so funny that we like
Yeah.
switched opinions.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I think my thought was that Caraval was always like my favorite book for the previous 2 times. So I remember being like, wow, this book is
You were going
so
in with such high
amazing.
expectations.
And yeah, I think my brain had probably like my brain does this great and terrible thing where it like magically makes everything like super beautiful and like creative stuff. So if I come back to a movie, generally my brain has made it
even
more
better.
beautiful than it was. Not always. Like some things just are really, really that good. Like V for Vendetta, Inception.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And you can just keep coming back to those movies over and over and over again. I had never annotated a book before.
Interesting.
Yeah, I mean, I had for school,
Do you think that
but I
made it,
hated that. It was always annoying.
do you think
So
that made
this
you
was
more
the first
critical?
time I think it helped. I think maybe it did make you a little more critical. In general, if a book is doing things consistently or I have questions or I am getting annoyed, it helps me to write it down because then I'm like, somebody gets it, even though it's just me.
This piece of paper. So correct.
Finally, somebody mentioned something about this with me, but whatever. And sometimes I make jokes in the margins, but then I just laugh at them. Anyway.
I mean, I laughed at them because...
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that annotating is a really, really fun thing, and...
Especially reading other people's annotations.
Yeah.
So, yes, it probably did make me consistently critical, because I think eventually, when I'm just in the story, I don't make notes as much.
Yeah.
So it's probably a feedback loop. But it's not... I don't think it ever got to a point that the book didn't deserve, you know what I'm saying?
Oh,
You know what I'm saying?
I think why I didn't like Legendary as much is because I thought I was going to feel a lot like the second POV.
Let's not get too into it.
And I
it's so easy to
didn't.
spoil. Yeah.
And that made me sad.
I know.
And I thought, like, you know,
Yeah.
I went in with this expectation of, like,
If it being
this is
super
going to
good.
be super great,
Yeah.
super like me, and then it wasn't like me, and then it was like, okay, this isn't like me, and then there's just some other things. I didn't dislike the book.
Okay, hold on.
I just didn't love it. It's definitely, I would say it's a really, really fun read for a lot of, I wouldn't say that the age range is as high as some of the other books we suggest.
Well, we mustn't forget.
Well, yeah, I mean, we have some other books in here that have a much smaller or much taller.
Okay, I would say with Legendary, things got a lot more upper YA in Legendary, I'd say.
Yeah.
And then in the finale as well.
I haven't read it, so I can't
Yeah.
say.
I mean, not like crazy, but yeah.
It's much more.
Definitely an upper YA
Yeah.
book. First one, not so much, but still, yes, a little bit. Oh, yeah, I
only,
just
like-
remembered that, like, scene at the end. Yes, I'd say it's not,
Okay.
I'd say 14,
Yeah.
probably.
14
Yeah.
is probably good.
Um,
Or, I mean, again, ranges.
Ranges, of course. I read it when I was 12, and I really enjoyed it. So,
Probably not the best idea.
I read all of Caraval when I was 12. So
You also read, like, everything when you were 12.
I read a lot when I was 12. Man,
Aubin was like, wow, I'm like a YA.
I know. I was
Yeah.
like, oh, I'm
Not
finally
even a
a
teen.
teenager. I think I also read some stuff when like some of the books like
Yeah.
that really were like, oh yeah, I
Oh,
read
yeah.
YA now. When I was 13.
Yeah. So old now.
So old.
So
now
mature.
I'm like 13. And then I remember reading Legend, just Legend, by Mary Lou at 14. Because I remember being the same age as the characters. You haven't read it yet?
Nope. What I find kind of ridiculous, not ridiculous, I mean, I find it kind of strange, is how young the second POV is.
Yes.
Because
Yeah, I'd say second POV.
should have been at least like...
She gave her reasons in the back of the book, and I was like, okay, yeah, I get why you would have done that, but I think the character, I don't know. And I think it could work. It's just like, I would feel more comfortable with it if she was older.
Yeah.
It does work.
It does work.
It's just in my head,
It's
the
just-
second POV is a different age.
Yeah.
Do you want to break it down to writing style now that we're already...
Okay,
we really
this
do
is-
like this book,
I do,
I swear.
I promise. Maybe I'm just in a little bit of a mood right now. But I do like this book. Okay, first let's rate it, and then we can move on to roasting him more.
Okay. I'd say, I was going to say 7.
What? I would say the first one is an 8, and the second one is a 6.5.
We aren't technically, we said at the very first episode, we weren't allowed to say 7.
Because 7 is
It's
like
the most neutral, positive number, so
You can just be like,
most
oh,
people
I was
go
a
for
7.
7. So you have to pick 6.5 or 7.5.
Actually,
I
I might
think
say that the...
Depends on the book. Of course, my opinion, as I've already said,
Has
changes. Depending on when and at what age I read the series. So currently, I think that Legendary, and it's like, do I compare it to like Book Thief? Because...
I know, it's like...
Or do I compare it to average YA?
Yeah,
Because I like it a lot more than average YA.
Mostly things that we like.
Yes, like everything in this teapot here is something that we like really, really enjoyed.
So if we're rating it against all YA, I would definitely say 8 and 6.5.
6.5 for Legendary?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I was going to say 7.5 for Caraval and then 8 for Legendary. And then I don't know what I would pick for finale. I think I would go back to 7.5.
Interesting.
Yeah.
I still haven't read...
If we're
Legendary.
relating it to Book Thief.
Well, I mean, I think we're relating it to everything.
Yeah. If we're relating it to everything else. Yeah, you can't really set the highest thing as the...
bar.
Yeah. One thing I would say is that kind of almost even more than the romantic relationship, Caraval really, really nails sisterly love.
Oh, yeah,
I think.
definitely. I would say
Like,
that... Like,
just nails
romantic
it.
love is like, okay, you did an okay job here.
Yeah.
Sisterly love, great job. I mean, as
Just
someone
so
with a sister,
amazing.
does an excellent job pulling that off.
And it's such a base, it's such a base for the characters. They from that love, they make their different decisions. And I think that that's just really, really cool character development. And
I think it's really interesting how they both have a very strong sisterly love, but in very different ways.
yes,
Like they
yes, very similar to us
execute it
actually.
in very different
Like
ways.
the one sister is like, I am going to help us by forcing you to do this thing that you don't want to do right now, but I know you'll enjoy later. And that's okay. In the way
we
it's kind of
both do
proposed,
that.
we both do that.
You do that like, all right, you're going to eat healthily and exercise. I do
Yeah.
that like, okay, we're going to go and watch this show because you're going to love it and you've been overworking yourself.
Yeah. And Scarlett is more like, okay, let's be safe. Let's do the safe thing.
Yeah.
Let's like,
thing.
I'm gonna do the best within my like sphere of what I feel safe. I'm gonna make the best decisions for both of us. And Tella's like, I'm gonna make the best decisions for both of us by making my own options.
Okay, so this ended up being a bit of a roast, bit of a criticism video. But if we're going here, we're just gonna keep going, and I'm gonna say,
Hey,
I don't have
just to
as
start
much,
out.
I don't
just
have
to start
as much
out.
to roast Caraval with because I liked it in general. Yeah, sure, there were some like.
Hold on. Can I go grab the books?
Yeah,
I feel like
sure.
that'll jog your memory.
Why did you? we don't have the second one.
Yeah, we're loaning Legendary to a friend right now.
But we don't have our notes in this one.
I know. Oh, right. So I bought
the...
my first copy of Caraval in England.
Mm-hmm.
And I only bought one copy because I had a backpack that I was using in England, and I had to carry that with me. So then when I got back to the States, I bought these.
Anyway, with what we do have.
Yeah, I mean, we can look at the writing style.
I enjoyed, I preferred the, like, weird...
Okay, so Scarlet has a very interesting way of looking at the world.
Mm-hmm. And also a really interesting way of connecting colors, which I really, really enjoyed. I really enjoyed that. I did not enjoy how the second POV did stuff nearly as much. First of all, repeated a lot of things.
Okay, hold on. There's this another character. We'll call him. For some reason, all I can think of is Books. So we'll call him Books. So Mr. Books in Legendary is, whenever he shows up on the scene, it's kind of like in Kami-sama Kiss when what's his name comes up on this
Burning in dark skies against the midnight skies with wings of deceit.
It's like that,
he
but
had,
like
a
every
theme
time
song.
he always has like this theme description that must be mentioned every time he comes in, and even though I really love Legendary, I got so tired of it.
Yeah, and I feel like she repeated that with like a lot of characters. Like she just had a very interesting descriptive phrase for them, and then
like, are you thinking of the romantic interest?
Yes, I mean that one.
Yeah, you mean, yeah, we were both talking about the same person.
Yeah.
Yes. No, his description every time.
Repetitive. And I mean, I get it, but it was slightly disappointing.
And you know what? He continues.
I don't like things repeating. I know that sounds weird, but I don't like particular character descriptions repeating in an artistic way, and then it just being the same wording every time.
So,
like, I'm fine if it's a simple one. It's just like, oh, that character with his red eyes or something. And it's just really, like, blunt forwards. But it's like, oh, with his blood crimson, or like his crimson shining
blue eyes.
Exactly. It's like his crimson shining
blue
eyes.
Are
and then it's like, every single time he enters, it's like, oh, yes, crimson shining eyes. It's just like, okay.
Sapphire comes from...
Throne of Glass.
Yes, Throne of Glass. Yes, Dorian's sapphire blue eyes. Man, we can't get too far down this roasting path.
Guys, comment down below if you want to hear us roast. This is why our teapot is filled with things we like.
Yes, because we don't want to be rude, because books are so hard to make, and lots of people have different tastes, and of course that's one reason art is so beautiful and diverse. And we just don't like all of it. Okay, never mind. Okay, all right, back to the series at hand. One of my favorite like book idea things that has stuck with me, and a lot of things have stuck. Like, I think it's my other version, but so many pieces, scenes, ideas from Caraval, this whole series, have stuck with me since reading these books as a 12-year-old. Like, they have shaped me as a person since being 12. Like,
oh, yes.
So many. I think I highlighted them. For instance, like, maybe there's this part where she's talking, philosophizing a tiny bit about, I wonder if no one ever really deserves love. What if it's always just a gift? And
that was really cool.
That was super cool.
And also the part with
there's a fortune teller, soothsayer. What do you call him?
Guy who sits in a room full of incense.
Yeah, that guy. And like his scene, I took away so much from that scene, and that's in Caraval. And then also him in Legendary is great. In this book, the thing that keeps repeating, the scene, the ideas. If you've read it, you know. Between the love interests in Legendary, in finale, has stayed with me for so long because it was such a fascinating idea.
idea.
Was such a fascinating idea. And that is one of my favorite parts of finale.
Yeah.
And has really influenced how I
again, guys, I'm not judging the full series.
Oh, hold on.
Also, I think that it was a good first book. I think that the second book was not as great of a second book. I think
the second act is always
the hardest. Yeah, I would have said that it would be a good first book. I think that Legendary would be a good first book because it has that like raw chaoticness that I expect to be slightly more smoothed out by the second one. But
second books.
It was slightly too convenient for my tastes.
Yes.
Things just kind of fell into place. Okay, first of all, I'm just going to be honest. I like tragedies. I like things that stories hard.
Maybe that's
I
why
like things that are problematic. I like suffering in ways. Okay, my favorite movie is the 1997? I don't know what year it came out. Romeo and Juliet. That thing is amazing. We just watched it last week. It is now my favorite movie, okay? I love things that are sad. I love things that are hard. I love things that hurt, but are also like weirdly fun.
Yeah.
So, I don't know. I just felt like that was missing.
That would be more the Caraval.
Yeah,
type.
Caraval is a little bit...
And then maybe again in finale.
Yeah. I felt like with Caraval, if there was a problem, even if it did like get solved surprisingly quickly, it at least had a little bit of time to breathe. I felt like in Legendary, there was like this big climactic thing, and it was just solved way too... I was like, what?
Yeah.
We got 2 minutes with that?
I think that was strategically impossible to get around.
Yeah.
But anyway, we should do a spoilers included episode so you guys can actually like really follow the conversation.
I'll read finale.
Read finale. Maybe that'll be
April.
Yeah.
And
I will get to read Legendary again.
Yeah.
And maybe I'll have different thoughts.
I mean, yeah.
Maybe I'll have different thoughts. I think I'm going to read Tempest of Tea again before we do spoilers included. Like, I already finished it, but I'm going to read it again.
I'll probably read it again. I think that this is us talking about this is a great example of tastes are varied.
Personal tastes change.
Yeah.
So
Aubin didn't love the second one, and now she does.
I do.
So, whatever your taste is, that's okay. It's yours.
Yeah.
We're not going to fight you on it.
We're just going to express ours.
Yeah.
So thank you for watching this very unusual
book tea
episode.
Most of them are really positive, completely positive.
Completely positive, and yeah,
we'll have the whole playlist up here.
Yep.
We also have a Discord up, so if you want to hear anything
in the
description box.
Yes.
We'll also talk about any upcoming events we're doing.
Yes.
Wing wing. Book releases, how that's going.
Yes, Discord is basically where I if I have time and I go to the Discord, you guys just hear.
You're gonna hear
all stuff.
Hear all the stuff. So yes, we're super excited to have you here. Thank you for hanging out with us.
Yes.
Come again if you want to.
If you're a writer, there's a whole playlist of writing advice.
Yeah, definitely. So whatever you're doing with your bookish journey, I
wish you well.
Yeah.
So
thank you guys. Bye.